Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jackson Lohr. Welcome to the Fitness for Life podcast. Today, I have with me Ethan Groh. Ethan is an old friend of mine. We went to the same high school, played in a band together briefly. He is out of the Navy fairly recently. He is a fitness coach and co-owner of fitness business himself, and then he does that alongside Andrew Ling, and that is, remind me the name?
Solid Ground Fitness.
Solid Ground Fitness. So that's where you can find Ethan and just some of the content that he puts out there. Really good stuff for tactical fitness and men's mental health are kind of the two things that they really do a really awesome job with. So Ethan, thanks for coming and joining me this morning.
I'm glad I could join up with you, Jackson.
Yeah. So Ethan, just talk to me about kind of like your journey throughout the last, well, we'll say, 10 years of becoming a coach, what that progression was like. You were a stud athlete in high school, and, obviously physical fitness has been a part of your life for a long time. So can you talk to me about like that progression for you?
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, I was very much into sports in high school. It gave me a great outlet to experience and meet other people, and grow as part of teams, grow as a leader and a follower. The sports arena is great for that type of learning environment. So after I graduated high school. I guess that is more than 10 years, which makes me sound really old. Makes me feel old. But continued along the path of playing sports and being part of teams. I played intramural and a little bit of travel rugby in college, and a little bit after I dropped out of college. So the physicality and the learning and the immediate tactile feedback you get from training and from being a part of a sports team has always been something I enjoyed. You get pretty close to the same learning experience in the military. I joined the Navy in 2016, and immediately became part of a very big team family, and spent 6 years in the Navy. Training was always in the back of my mind, and coaching was always in the back of my mind because I thrive as a leader. I think that's what I'm meant to be in whatever capacity I perform that in, whether that's military, sports, eventually coaching, my kids' soccer team or my kids' baseball team, whatever they decide to play. That's something that my mindset and my opinions, the way I function, the way I operate, automatically, leans towards.
Right.
So the men's mental health journey didn't start until I joined the Navy. As everybody knows, mental health is a big issue for men and women. Is a big issue in the military right now, and has been for far too long. But men specifically have been struggling just because of the mantras and the expectations that are put on us by society, especially by the military, but by society in general too. And I experienced that firsthand, specifically because my first 2 years in the Navy I was performing funerals for the Navy in Arlington National Cemetery.
Right.
So mental health is a big component of that, and the glaring delta or dichotomy between what was expected of us and what we could give in return was huge. So we were expected to have a perfect uniform, be physically fit, strong enough to perform our job. So we were prepared physically, and that's about it. So no preparations or measures of a fallback or measures of support were given for mental or emotional health for that job.
And this is
Which is
a job where you're, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is a job where
no, you're fine.
you're like part of funerals on a daily basis.
Yes. So a work day for that command, for military members in ceremonial guard or the guard, or every branch has their own, is about 6 funerals a day.
Yeah.
So 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. You are carrying caskets. You are marching. You're providing a final ceremony for someone's loved one.
Right.
And the dissociation switch that we were taught, is very potent. Because I mean, to perform that job, you do need to shut off your emotions. You need to be able to get the job done. But nobody taught us how to properly turn that switch back on. So that's kind of the basis for my men's health journey, because it's taken 4 years, and I'm not done yet. But it's taken 4 years for me to slowly learn how to safely turn that switch off and on. Because even outside the military, there are some things. If you think about everyday jobs, I mean, it's obviously not to the extreme that we're talking about. But I mean, when you leave home as a man, you need to go to work and be present at work. Outside the military, it's not necessarily labeled as disassociation. But I mean, you have a work mindset, you have a home mindset, you have a training mindset. Right. You have these different adaptations that you can support with where your mind is, what you're focused on. I mean, even down to like the clothes you wear, the tools you bring with you, the equipment, the stuff like that. Everything that shapes your environment is included in the attitude, that mindset of whatever you're applying yourself to. And so that's kind of where I am now. I have another reason that I'm so adamant about men's mental health and supporting and trying to be open and communicative about supporting men's mental health is I've lost 6 friends, all men, to suicide in the past 2 years, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
And three of them I was extremely close to. And one of them was a leader that I looked up to, that just didn't have a support system. Things can drop out from under you very quickly, just as a human being. Right. And as a man, this also happens to women, so I don't want to be exclusionary, but I do want to focus on men, because the support systems and fallback, we call them fallback measures in the Navy, don't necessarily support men as well as they support women. There are more organizations and just support in general for the female population, because I think that females go through about the same as men, but about the same mental distress or trauma, or the numbers are about the same. Right. But it's the, like I said, it's the support factors, it's the fallback measures that we're falling short on. So the biggest thing that I try to push is just being open and being receptive to people talking to you, and making sure that we as men communicate with our circle and with our brothers that if you need to talk about something, there's no limits, there's no boundaries, and I mean, that's the biggest battle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. I know that's probably obviously still fresh for you.
Yep.
So in light of that, what steps have you taken? You mentioned this last like 4 years has been big for you. What steps have you taken personally to work on and improve yourself in that way, and kind of, take some healing
So,
from being part of that?
yeah. Yeah. So a lot of it has had to do with support groups. There are some support groups that are specifically available to, uh, excuse me, to people that were a part of the ceremonial guard. So it's a very niche issue that we have. We're less than 1% at any given time. That command is less than 1% of the Navy.
Wow.
So we're a very small, close knit community. Um, so that has helped. I cannot stress enough that the stigma and uh, the kind of automatic reactions that men have to therapy and seeking psychological help and assistance from medical professionals is wrong. That stigma is wrong. I honestly don't know where it came from.
Mm.
I can't pinpoint anything specific, uh, but I know that that's something that a lot of guys struggle with, whether it's associated with weakness or not be able to handle something on your own. Um, that that's a big emotional roadblock and mental roadblock for a lot of guys. So I did go. I've seen two different therapists. And diagnosis also helps too. And I don't mean diagnosis by going online and taking these 100
Right.
questions, 100 questions psychological, because the same tests that are used by psychologists to gauge PTSD factors, trauma factors, stuff like that,
Right.
are publicly available.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what matters, like, you can have all the tools in the world, but what matters is the support afterwards.
Right.
Um, so I was diagnosed with PTSD. And that's something that was hard for me because uh, I felt a certain sense of undeservedness, because another stigma that we deal with is when people think PTSD, they think people that have been in war zones
Mm-hmm.
and have had physical trauma, missing limbs, stuff like that. Um,
Right.
but trauma has a very wide band of applications or incidents where it qualifies as trauma, but it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. Um, so diagnosis by a mental health professional helps give men a direction to work towards.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of mental health issues can and symptoms can be related to feeling lost or not knowing what to do next, because I mean, biologically we're fixers, right? If something's wrong, we want to fix it. We need to fix it.
Yeah.
It's an age old, generational old fact about how men are built. And and uh, it is so much easier to move past that mindset and listen to my wife instead of trying to fix something for her than to listen to myself.
Mm. Yeah. Wow.
It's much easier to adapt to and help mold or shift the way I communicate with other people than it is to adapt to how I need to communicate with myself. Um,
Yeah.
so learning that learning or discovering a path forward by going to see a mental health professional is invaluable. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you're going to just share those deep dark things that you haven't wanted to tell anyone else, but it's you're not going to therapy to fix yourself. You're going to therapy to learn about yourself and to be given emotional and mental tools to either just improve yourself or come back from some trauma or childhood issues that you've dealt with that you're seeing resurface as an adult. There's all kinds of things now that just wasn't a thing in the past, because of how highly developed our society is, how everything is go 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 and pushed in our face and marketed and I mean it's we're going at top speed all the time. And it's showing in our mental health problem.
Yeah.
And I'll say one more thing about my journey to fix or heal, is that a lot of it was just looking for tools and books specifically, to try to improve myself or learn more about how the way my mind worked. After the show, I'll have to share with you. I don't have a list in front of you. After the show, I will share with you guys some books that opened my eyes and gave me some very basic mental and emotional tools, to be able to be a more healthy and well-rounded man.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can put those in the description of the video.
Yeah.
That'll be really helpful for people. I think one thing, really appreciate you sharing about like your journey in therapy. One of the things that I felt, I spent a few months going to therapy, thought it was absolutely the best thing that I could have done for myself at the time. And I just came out of it, and I don't know if you had this experience, but I just came out of it with the thought that like, why is there such a stigma around this? Because people who come out of it, a lot of times people who go through cycles and go in and out, it's like, this is awesome. Like this feels like something I should be doing regularly for myself. And I know plenty of people who do that, who benefit massively from it. Yeah. I don't know if you had a similar experience with that.
Yeah, I definitely did. And I can relate it pretty well to some of my physical journey too, because when I started this in the military, but I've continued it now that I've gotten out. I get regular blood work every 6 months. Excuse me. Keep track of my proteins, my all of the hormone levels in my blood, stuff like that, to kind of keep a physical checkup on my body, and I mean, going to therapy for a couple months a year can do the exact same thing for your mental health. It needs to be viewed as a tool and not a last resort.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I think for the most part, I think a lot of people do view it as that last resort, when it really should be kind of somewhere in the middle, and not at that final step. One more thing I think it'd be really helpful to hear from you is like, okay, you are a father, and you became a father kind of in the middle of that journey or right at the beginning. How did that change not only like the things that were placed upon you as far as like responsibility and pressure, but also like your approach to your own mental health?
So I want to be able to say that I was able to take it in stride, and there's another environmental or not environmental attitude that men like to cling to is self-sufficiency.
Mm.
with, no outside help, no outside tools, no support. Um, but I absolutely love being a father, and uh, my my mindset shifted in the fact in the direction of I need help, I need more tools.
Mm.
So I turned to literature, I turned to podcasts, YouTube. I mean, we live in an information age where anything we could ever want is accessible.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's another thing that I try to encourage men that I'm close with to do is like the there is no excuse for there is no excuse for I don't want to say stupidity, but for lack of knowledge on certain things. Sometimes we need help with the application of some of these tenets, or if I tell you to do a Bulgarian split squat, you know what it is, but I need to be able to give you the biomechanical references to do it properly, right?
Yeah.
So if I read a book but don't understand it, find somebody who understands it.
Right.
There are an unlimited number of podcasts and books and YouTube videos and I mean just limitless information on this stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can honestly say I was scared because becoming a father means that you now have extra responsibility placed on you. You now have you are responsible for the life of another human being,
Mm-hmm.
and that mindset shift scared me because you know self-esteem plays a factor and confidence plays a factor, and that's something that has to actively be worked on every day. Um, I think everybody has some innate level or base level of confidence that can be fairly localized to. I mean, even like things as silly as like a specific video game or a specific exercise, a specific type of exercise. You could be, I mean, you could be good at any number of little things that can give you confidence, but you need tools and you need the mental capacity to be able to relate that to yourself.
Right.
I say that as I say self by higher self, your person, your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a quote. I'm not going to be able to repeat it verbatim, but the essence of it was that that men are expected to give 100% in every category of their lives, and uh, and it's simply not it's not feasible. It's not it's not able to be accomplished, and not become a broken human being.
Mm-hmm.
So you need your support system, your spouse, your children when they get older, the people you surround yourself with can help feed into that.
Yeah.
Can help, because everybody gets to 100% at some point, but you need to be able to differentiate between what needs most of your attention or what needs most of your uh, participation
Yeah.
at any given moment.
Right.
So, I mean, if there there are some separations there that I think personally apply to me that won't necessarily apply to everyone else. One of those separations is work and home. So when I'm at work, I am at work.
Right.
I'll talk to my wife every once in a while, um, but then I will switch immediately to home mode
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I leave work, and I'll call my wife and immediately be, do we need anything on my way home? What's the plan for tonight? What can I do to help? Um, and so that way I can perform well at my job, but I can also perform well as a husband and a father
Yeah.
because of that differentiation. That actually started when I joined the military, and that was one of the tools that I eventually learned myself at the ceremonial guard was to leave work at work and to leave home at home,
Yeah.
because that was the type of differentiation I needed to perform in both environments to my maximum capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So again, finding those switches is great, but you need to be able to either learn the tools or find the appropriate tools for yourself to learn how to safely turn those switches on and off. So back to the 100%, the 100% metaphor. One of the reasons that men's mental health is such an issue is that they are expected to be at any one time 100% a father, a husband, and just a man.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's very easy to lose yourself. It's very easy to lose yourself in that type of mindset because there's nothing left for yourself. You see the statistics on happiness, an emotional characteristic called satiety, and just overall joy for men 10 plus years after they're married or 10 plus years after they are a father are terrifying.
Mm.
The measurement of confidence and happiness drops. The measurement of self or self-identity plummets. And this is also something that happens with moms too.
Mm.
I'll give a shout out to moms because when you become a mother, your entire psyche, your entire focus is shifted to that baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's a biogenetic predisposition that we were designed with.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more of a slow burn on men. Women are able to women have a much higher emotional intelligence than men do. So they can be a little bit more self-aware when it comes to feeling that an environment or a situation is getting out of hand and they're losing their self through it. Men are more stubborn. We're more set in our ways, and we don't always adapt to change very well. So that's why it can take a little bit longer for men to lose themselves into being a father and a husband and lose that sense of self. And then, when things fall apart, you don't necessarily have your wife or your kids to fall back onto because that's not what they're there for. In your mind, those are the things you must protect. So you cannot project a feeling or a mindset of weakness on those people, because then that shakes the foundation of excuse me, of your relationship. So you're expected to be at 100% at all times, and that's why brotherhood and community is so important to men. Like isolation is a killer.
Yeah.
It's easier. I can attest to that. It is easier. It takes effort to build bonds and build trust with people, but it is 100% worth it when you look at the effects and the consequences of what a man's declining mental health does.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I don't want to keep you too long, and we've already about doubled our usual time, so that's perfect.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's good. We need to talk about it. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you? Find Solid Ground.
So they can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Solid Ground Fitness. We also have a website, solidgroundfitness.co. You can go there and look us up, and we offer coaching programs from bodyweight to kettlebells to Olympic lifting to powerlifting, obstacle race, trail racing, anything you can imagine. We love to support and get people out there moving fast and moving healthy and living healthy.
Yeah, that's the dream. All right.
Yep.
Cool, man. Well, hey, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.